Well, this is it then. The final, on the final day of Super Series 2.
Bullseye.
And it is a meeting between the two highest ranked players in the series. The world number 1 and world champion Gerwyn Price against the world number 3 and the man that he replaced as world champion in Peter Snakebite Wright, who has finally joined the party on the Pro Tour in 2021. Paul Nicholson, we've been watching in awe as Gerwyn Price over the last couple of days has torn through the field, but it's Peter Wright that's producing the big numbers today, isn't it?
134.
I think you'd have to say so. There's been a lot to admire about what Peter's done today. Some great statistic, but both players are averaging over 100 for the day.
180.
And to pay them both a compliment, I think we definitely have the best two players in the field from today in the final. The statistics don't lie. 39 180s between the two of them. 50% on the doubles between them, because Peter's on 51 and Gerwyn's on 49.
85.
But this has the potential to be a great Players' Championship final. Maybe one of the best. But it has been a long day, a longer than usual day for a Players' Championship. So we'll find out how they're feeling in the next few seconds. But this is a bit of a haymaker to start with Wright, and he goes wide of double 8.
Plenty of time on his side. That maximum in the opening leg, a sign that Wright is not going to relent. Carrying on, piling in the 180s.
Game shot.
And he beds the double to take the first leg with little trouble.
All day long, they start playing for £500. Of course, from the 128 down to the last 64, and then it's another £500 to 1,000, and then another £500. It's the semi-final that is the first really big money match, isn't it?
100.
Where you go from the £3,000 mark to the £6,000 mark, and then this one is the £4,000 game, of course. Now,
60.
These guys have made a lot of coin in this sport. Probably not thinking about the money. I'm sure they're not, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a blackboard in their
100
practice areas at home where they just got a little chalk mark saying, I've got that many titles. There's another chalk mark right there.
Yeah, the pair share plenty of titles.
59.
I've had plenty of meetings, this 26th professional meeting. 7 of them coming last year. Peter Wright edging the head-to-head in 2020 4-3, including the most recent meeting, which was a match at the European Championship.
180.
Oh, look at that from Price. That was a very tidy 180. Loves a 161. Go for it. Don't give him a shot. And that is a belter from Peter Wright. Do you get the feeling, Murph? He wants his title. He wants to get the 2021 monkey off his back.
Gerwyn Price won't believe it. 2 of the last 3 finishers that have been hit against him have been 161 checkouts, because Brendan Dolan managed one to win his second leg in that 7-2 defeat at the hands of Price in the semi-final.
2 of the most synonymous 161 hitters in the world. One because Brendan hit it in a history-making leg, and Peter Wright, do you remember that 6-0 against Van Gerwen in Sindelfing? And he hit one there as well. That's probably his best one.
Well, it's a rip-roaring start from Snakebite here as he bids to embed his name into the 2021 Roll of Honour. This week, we saw Brendan Dolan himself add his name to that list, picking up his 8th PDC title. We saw Johnny Clayton pick up his 3rd of the year here yesterday, and Gerwyn Price, of course, winning his first title since the World Championship the day before.
136.
Well, the only players to have multiple titles in 2021 are Welsh, Price and Clayton. That will remain the case
58.
if Price wins this final. You can't envisage Peter Wright not winning titles this year, especially with the way he's played today. It's been a really hot day for him.
There's been 11 PDC finals played in 2021, and only 3 of them haven't had a Welshman in the final.
Tops.
Game shot.
Very good. He's in now. Wright still has the lead. That break of throw does help in this best of 15 match. We do, of course, expect the best of 15 match in the final now, but it wasn't always the case. It used to be best of 11 the finals when I was winning titles. And how long's it been going now? Is it 3 years?
Yeah, it was still best of 11 when the streaming first started, but I think that was a big factor in why it changed. First at the European Tour and then 93. On the floor.
Yeah, I do like it. At first I was a bit dubious because, let's face it, dart players don't like change. But now I see it. I see the graduation to
100.
The best of 13 in the semis and the best of 15 in the final. I think it's here to stay.
$60.
We have seen some absolutely thrilling finals already this year, going the distance.
What's your favourite?
100.
I think there are different favourites for different reasons, if that makes sense. The Van Barneveld story was remarkable, but we saw some thrilling
91.
finals with Callan Ridds, for example, and Johnny Clayton. Maybe come back to that because Peter Wright is trying to repeat the party piece. He's not going to do it this time.
85.
Decent effort in the end. It was a bad first start. And Price is just getting a bit frustrated with his range on that 60. His first start especially. Plenty for him to think about in the infancy of this
60.
game. And Peter Wright will be 3-1 ahead with a break if he can negotiate 76. He was deadly on double 18 against Steve Lennon in the quarterfinals. He didn't miss it out of 5 attempts.
36.
And I'm surprised he hasn't gone back there.
So to level up. 2 tops.
Use it or use the open piece?
80.
Try to use it, and I'm not sure, not 100% sure anyway, that it was the right play. Maybe should have just gone to the left-hand side.
Game shot.
Well, Peter Wright puts it in the side that you suggest Price should have gone in. And it puts Wright into a 3-1 lead with that break of throw. You were saying that this pair have won so many titles, more than
100.
50 between them. A quick tally up. I reckon that including the World Cup, the World Series events and everything, that Peter Wright's on 34 PDC titles, and Gerwyn Price here is looking for his 20th.
Well, there are some similarities. They have won the same competition, the both of them. They've both won the World Cup. They've both won the World Championship.
34.
Peter hasn't won the Grand Slam. Gerwyn has not won the European Championship.
Well, the big one coming up, of course, is the Premier League, and it is a title that neither player has won. Peter Wright,
correct,
will want to exercise some darting demons in that tournament at some stage in his career
60.
because perhaps should have won it.
What a perfect segue, because when Peter Wright was constantly having people knock on his door and saying, when are you going to win a big title? When are you going to win a big title that's ranked? Well, he did against Gerwyn Price in the UK Open. So we shall see what happens. But the first sign of real frustration from Gerwyn Price in the last visit.
137.
He is really, really miffed at this performance so far.
He was doing that a lot in the semi-final against Brendan
85.
Dolan, and of course that was a comfortable win in which he averaged 102, Gerwyn Price, but he was getting frustrated with himself. He'll be more frustrated if Peter picks this off.
54.
He'll get the chance to do so after this visit from Price.
In the fine margins at the top of the sport,
98.
you hate being languished on 174 when your opponent has missed a dart at double. You want to be on something to take it out. And Wright has taken it out with the extra effort. It's a 99 average for Peter. That's under par for what he has delivered today so far, but it's been more than sufficient against the Price, who is only averaging around 90.
Yeah, Peter Wright has produced some wonderful performances over the course of the day here.
180.
Producing darts like that all the way through. It all began with a 104 average against Jack Main, a man he's beaten twice this week. Then sort of Adam Hunt, Willie O'Connor with an average of 108. Well, I'll carry on the list
180.
after this leg, because Peter Wright is on the brink of a perfect one.
Well, he's looking at the brink right now, isn't he?
97.
Jason Heaver was pretty close earlier. He missed dart 8. Peter's missed dart 7. But
91.
he's left himself on 50. And he might not get another dart.
Can Price leave himself on 50? No, he can't.
36.
Right, we'll have 2 darts for a 5-1 lead and yet another break of throw.
Game shot.
Very, very deadly on the outer ring all of a sudden. 5-1 to Snakebite. And he's not sure who's going first there.
Can't quite believe the ease that he's managing this with. Gerwyn Price is kind of off in this final.
You get games where no matter what you do,
100.
it just doesn't seem to be going your way. From a timing perspective, you know, you're being robbed of bad deflections. That one's gone in. That one goes a beautiful last dart, that. But if Price is going to win this game, he's going to have to go on some sort of blitz.
Well, it has been a blitz all day, hasn't it?
100.
From Peter Wright. Only 2 matches in which he hasn't averaged in 3 figures. They were the ones against Steve West and Adam Hunt. The quarter-final win against Steve Lennon, his best performance, 108.33, and he only won it by 2 legs.
Yeah. Steve Lennon did miss a few chances in that match. It was a great game early, but ultimately, Wright was just faultless.
And it was Joe Cullen in the semi-finals for Wright, won that one convincingly,
105.
but out of the 4 semi-finalists, Peter Wright was the man without any real form behind him, wasn't he? You wouldn't think that, having watched the semi-finals and what we've had of the final so far.
180.
Yeah, kind of silly to think that he was under the radar in the top 3 in the world. Well, he's left 21.
Game
But
shot.
it had absolutely no bearing. What a great leg of darts that was from both players.
But was that 180 intended to have a bearing on
Dead cat.
Gerwyn Price?
Dead cat 180 from Snakey, and it didn't work.
140.
No cats were harmed in the making of that 180. Just to clear that up.
Well, Price is just starting to
100.
go through the gears a little bit in this match. That finish exactly the tonic he needed.
One thing I've been
43.
surveying today with some of the players is their ability to stare the board down as to whether they blink in between darts. And I watched a Ratajski match earlier on,
134.
and his stare was just so piercing. I thought to myself, there can't be anybody who would outstare Ratajski. And then, of course, I thought about Richard Veenstra.
42.
I tell you what, when he's properly zoned in, Gerwyn Price would definitely be up there.
I was saying he was going through the gears, but he's just stalled, Gerwyn Price. 116 checkout, followed by a 140, and then 2 scores in the 40s.
60.
He's not out of the leg. If he can find a max here, or a 140, he's still got a chance. But he's cutting
100.
a very frustrated figure more often than not. He's got 77, and he doesn't want to stay on the 57. Back upstairs,
97.
he'd rather be on 110 than 111. That was the thought behind that, because it gives him a few more options.
100.
Perfect. Little pause from Peter Wright.
Game
he
shot.
remains perfect, and Peter picks it off and opens up a 6-2 lead against Gerwyn Price. Now, interestingly, it's been a long time since Gerwyn Price lost a final. The one that he won here a couple of days ago was his 7th final victory in a row,
85.
including the World Championship, of course, against Gary Anderson, including the World Grand Prix, including the World Series finals. But the last time he did lose a final,
83.
it was a Players' Championship event last July. It was against Peter Wright, and he was beaten 8-2.
What are you trying to say?
83.
Could be a very impressive bookend from Peter Wright if he's able to end that run. He also might create another monster.
140.
Correct. It's a very good point, that, because since then, Gerwyn Price has been
96.
just a bit more proficient in picking off big titles, even the ones that he wasn't comfortable playing at, like the Grand Prix.
He played Wright in finals
80.
twice last year and lost both of those matches. Of course, did win the most important meet at the Grand Slam the previous year.
Another maximum? What a silly question.
180.
God, he's been good in that department today, hasn't he?
83.
Well, he's moving towards a repeat of that summer victory.
$17.
Price needs to dig deep here and find something akin to that 116 that he produced earlier. And it's not going to happen.
54.
So Peter Wright, well placed to move 5 clear of Price and 1 away from a win
Game shot.
against the world number 1.
I love how quickly he threw that second dart. It's like he knew it was going in, no matter where he threw it. He could have thrown that with his eyes closed,
130.
and it was still going in. That was such a beautiful guide for him. All he had to do was just throw it normally, glance off the flight, and then bound its way underneath. 7-2 Wright, and is it academic now? Even
95.
as world number 1 against Wright, playing right on his average for the day of 103, is this too much to ask of Gerwyn Price? And I have to say it probably is to win 6-0 from here.
Well, the way that Peter's playing, he's certainly going to have to rely on him missing opportunities
134.
and him taking all the chances that he gets.
I don't think you were privileged to the information I gave Dan Dawson earlier about how Joe Wright told me that she thinks that Peter looks like Brains from Thunderbirds. Well, he's got brawn and brains today, but Gezi, you've left 50 after 9. If Peter's not on a finish, go for the bull.
22.
It's a meltdown from Peter Wright.
Game shot.
Price doesn't do anything so silly, just gets the leg 1.
Well, which player would have gone for the bull? MVG might have. Ricky Evans, possibly?
Well, MVG, the man that's in between them in the world rankings, it's very interesting. He's not travelled here as Wright rattles in yet another max. And the 2 closest rivals, the one ahead of him and the one behind him, are duking it out in the decider of the last event, just before, of course, the Premier League gets underway.
So you have to say these may be the 2 best players in the world right now. I know that's an argument that's been done to death.
100.
But the fact of the matter is that probably are looking at the 2 best players in the world.
There are players that are in excellent form. Johnny Clayton, one of them. Joe Cullen, another. But do you think what we really do have now is a clear big 3 in world darts?
No. I think we've
big
got
4.
I think
a
we've
big
got
5.
lots of them.
A big 6. A big 16.
Yeah, I'll take 16. There are 16 people who can genuinely challenge
99.
for these titles on a regular basis.
All right.
But this guy is looking to finish it right here.
It didn't need to go the bullseye route
49.
because Price is a long way behind, and he has been a long way behind for the duration of this match.
Fine effort today from Price.
55.
But he knows that the job is up. Peter Wright to finish Super Series 2 on double 16.
Game
And
shot,
Snakebite gets his first
He's
win
all right.
of 2021. He was way too good for Price in that final, and he averaged in that final exactly what he's done all day long.